So podcast is officially launched. Started putting up the episodes. This will be coming out next Tuesday, I think. So a few days after initial recording.
I guess there's a little like lag with these, but
just catching up now, I guess. Yeah. We'll settle into I think 9 p.m. Japan release time Mondays. Monday, Japan, 9 p.m., which is like 8 a.m. New York time.
Yeah.
Like middle of the day, I guess, for Europe. Early morning for California, but yeah.
I think there's a few people that started watching and that I know, and they're just like, wow, yeah, it's a lot all at once, which I guess it kind of is, but yeah, I think people will get the sort of catch up to the pace once it evens out a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think we're still figuring out some of the dynamics and aspects
as
well.
Yeah.
But something I was thinking about is what would you want to talk about on the Patreon, I guess, or like how do you see that being different? Like
Patreon,
I mean, it's a paywall, so you can
just like go full, I don't know, like fascist and like like sex crimes and fascism and
you could. I mean, it's behind the paywall.
It's behind the wall.
I don't know. Is the paywall full immunity? Not really.
Yeah, it's probably not a waiver for getting, I don't know, canceled or something. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could try to we could even like open it up and see if people want to like suggest topics to get into.
Yeah, I mean,
if an interesting one too.
If there's anything, you're interested in hearing about, please drop a comment. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we could just like solicit topics and maybe like spin off from them, and it would be more interesting.
Yeah, the question is, what do we want to talk about fundamentally?
Yeah.
Well,
we could. I mean, like I think we're mostly talking about what we want to talk about with these ones.
As we have, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to have like a submissions thing, or like take some ideas and kind of like spin off from them.
I mean, I'm like behind the paywall, I'm almost inclined to like talk more about, I don't know, astral experiences and whatnot. But
astral experiences, yeah. I mean, we could go more into the kind of occult side of things or stuff like that. Yeah.
But paywall provides some protection there, I suppose, but I don't know. Patreon's up. Bear with us while we figure out what will go there. But we have a $1 tier at the moment, so get in while the getting is good, and we'll probably
buy like a McDonald's cheeseburger or something with $1. What would that? Probably not. Well, you probably could now if you converted it to yen.
Probably value menu. I mean, maybe in Japan, I suppose.
Maybe a $1 would.
Question is, do you want to be putting a $1 cheeseburger into your body?
If it came from Patreon, I probably would. Like if Patreon just like mailed a cheeseburger or something
for $1,
probably, yeah.
You'd spend your hard-earned dollar on a Patreon cheeseburger
if it was easily accessible, I guess. If I had to like do some weird banking thing, then maybe not. But
yeah.
If it was just a cheeseburger that was easy to bite into, or
when's the last time you had McDonald's? On that note,
probably when I was in university, like maybe.
What was the last time?
17. 15,
did you swear it off?
15 years ago or something, I want to say.
Did you have like a bad time with McDonald's?
No, I never really enjoyed it. I mean, it felt like I wrote this story in my first book where there's this girl that's was raised as a pretty strict vegetarian, and she's like trying to get into like meat, just for the first time as like a teenager. And there's this one scene where she goes to McDonald's just for science, I guess. And I was like trying to explain it. I was like, if someone that had like never seen or like eaten this material before was like trying it, like what would it just seemed like it wouldn't even seem like food, right? It would just seem like these weird, I guess like edible objects or something.
Just based on appearance or texture, or
both, right? Like appearance and texture. I mean, it's like these nuggets and like in boxes,
it's
and
like edible Play-Doh or something.
Yeah, well,
right?
it literally, the nuggets are like a paste or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, is that too different from a sausage? Ultimately, I mean, probably more chemically processed.
Yeah, I think it. I remember there were these like strange textures, like the Big Mac bun would be kind of like rubbery, or like things would just, fries were like crunchy, but sort of like substanceless, or I don't know. It's very hard to explain what I was trying to go for.
What always comes to mind, I feel like that first bite, there's always this like chemically tastes good sensation where it's like almost like a drug or something. Like it's not like a natural taste bud response. It's like, you know, almost something like MSG territory, where it's like, this is like way more savory than it could possibly be, but it's like even more tantalizing than that or something. Just pure like science food.
Yeah, I guess, right? I was trying to, I mean, I think I was able to enjoy it for like a very brief, again, just when I was a student, just because it was convenient and cheap and like literally right near my house. But I went through a period where I was trying to kind of go there and just get into it, and I just
trying to get into McDonald's.
Trying to get into McDonald's.
Interesting concept.
I just couldn't even.
What if there's like a bouncer at like McDonald's, had to like wait in line?
To wait in line. I think like all the other ones just seemed more substantial, like Burger King or like Wendy's, like always seemed like they were like more solid, real hamburgers.
Man, yeah, I can't do like,
you can't do
even Wendy's. Yeah,
like now or in the
now,
when you were younger.
Even now, yeah. But I mean,
well, when you're like a teenager, like you could probably.
I mean, when you're a teenager, you have a stomach that could like process lead or something, right? Like just anything seemingly goes through, right? Yeah. It's crazy. I wonder what changes.
Well, probably just buildup of toxins in some ways.
Buildup of just what, like wear and tear of
maybe less hormones too. I mean, like, isn't there, I don't know how much like digestive hormones or whatever would like decline, but
like enzymes or what?
Maybe yeah. There might be like autoimmune stuff too, or like allergies building up over
like time.
Intolerances building up maybe over time.
It's weird. It just kind of comes out of nowhere though, because like 1 second you're 18 and you can process anything with like seemingly no repercussion, and then some years later, I was gonna say a decade later, but yeah, when you say a decade, it's kind of like duh. But
I was still pretty, I would say like well into my early 30s, like I could still easily just go and smash a couple Wendy's burgers, and I would just wake up and I would feel fine, and everything would be normal. There's no issues or stomach stuff or like regularity, or like there's no real.
I feel like it's one of these things maybe where like you're you kind of commented something similar with like alcohol recently, where it's like when you're in the habit of drinking alcohol with regularity, like
there's a camouflage there's a like, camouflage aspect where and I did feel like I went through phases with alcohol where I think when I was first trying to get into it, like when I was a teenager and stuff, like I would definitely get affected way more easily. And then like in my late 20s and kind of 30s and stuff, like I felt like I became really strong
with alcohol specifically.
Yeah. And like I was trying to figure it out, because I was like, I feel like I was drinking amounts that when I was like, if I drank the same amount when I was like 19, like I probably would have been, passing out or blacking out. But when I was like 32, I would just be like casually walking home, or like not even feeling it the next day. But now I've like barely, like this year I've like barely drunk anything, and the few times I have like it feels very strange and like way more the tolerance seems way down compared to when I was like weekly just drinking it.
Yeah, tolerance, I guess, both in terms of like acute effect and
Everything,
also like
yeah.
the next day
Next
kind
day,
of.
yeah.
Yeah. I've mentioned this to you plenty of times, but with LASIK, it became very obvious how dehydrating alcohol was. Like,
Yeah.
10 minutes after drinking a few sips of a cocktail or something, like I can just feel my eyeballs drying out.
Yeah. I wonder if that might not be a temporary, LASIK side effect where, a year from now it might
even
not.
Recently, I think I've kind of like it's kind of still there, but yeah, it's definitely the dryness does seem to fade a bit.
I'm sure that'll probably get better, but it certainly is dehydrating, like
crazily, right?
Definitely. I notice it. I usually notice it more the next day where I wake up and I'm just like, I'll just like chug 2 straight bottles of water or something. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like,
do you notice like when you like, you had your first drink and you like go to like urinate and it's like, wow, that was like way more urine.
Of course,
than,
of course, yeah.
Like it immediately just starts like dehydrating you, right?
So I mean, even coffee's a little bit like that, unfortunately.
A bit, yeah.
It definitely coffee can have that effect too.
Yeah.
But so McDonald's, I mean, I just couldn't, for whatever reason, like even when I was a teenager, I was just like, this feels like noticeably even, I don't know, like non-food compared to like, I guess the other chains or whatever, Burger King.
Yeah.
Burger King with a Whopper, I guess they have at least like some crispy kind of vegetables and tomato and pickles and stuff, right? But Big Mac, I just couldn't. It's just like this sauce and like I guess shredded lettuce and like
the shredded lettuce is crispy though.
I guess, man, I couldn't even. I don't know. My friend Aaron and Valerie, who you met, came here,
right?
And I think like one of the first things they did when they came to Bukuro was just go to McDonald's and they're like really raving about it. They're like, wow, it's like served promptly and everything's hot and it's like looks like the pictures and like I'm like, I guess, I mean, it's McDonald's, like, I don't know if I would.
It's certainly a higher level of service, but ultimately it's still like science food.
Yeah, I kind of shudder to think what it must be like in the U.S. now.
Yeah.
I just don't even really want to. I feel like literally eating out of the garbage in like a nice neighborhood would be preferable to like just ordering from McDonald's or something in the U.S. Probably.
I mean, it's not even a story, but I was visiting Canada a few Christmases ago, I guess, 5 years ago or something, and we were on vacation, I guess, in Michigan. And we're on the road and stopped somewhere for lunch in one of these kind of like one road towns off the side of a highway or something. And boy, oh boy, was that man, that the burger just fell apart basically, right? Like it was
at McDonald's or
was it Burger King or Wendy's or something?
It was a fast food
chain. But it was one of those. It doesn't even matter. But
doesn't even matter.
Like, it felt like just the complete absence of like any sort of quality assurance or like corporate oversight or anything. It was just like barely an excuse for food. Right?
It's probably like a 14-year-old assembling it or something, right?
Was it? He looked on the older side of 50.
Side. Okay,
But in any case,
it's probably just cracked out of his mind or like just not even asleep at the wheel. And
but like it seemed like they're like still regulars who would like go in there for their lunch or whatever. And like,
if it's like a small? I mean, where are you gonna? If it's like a small town, I mean, what are you gonna? It's like I know those like one road towns very well, and like if there's like a local, I want to say like saloon, which could be like anything from an actual bar to like a diner to like even a fast food place. It's just like where, I mean, like people just sit there for like 8 hours doing nothing or like, talking to their friend or something, or smoking cigarettes out back, or
I mean, if it's like a saloon, at least it feels like it has some like local character.
Well, I mean that term pretty, I don't
loosely,
know, ironically or something.
Okay.
I mean, like, you know, it literally might just be like a hole in the wall, shitty bar, or like some mom and pop, you know, excuse for a diner or something.
Yeah, if it's mom and pop, I'll give them a pass. But if it's got the corporate colors, but none of the corporate standardization, that's America falling apart at the seams, I'm afraid.
I saw something interesting, which I'm sure it was just like a Photoshop or something, but there was one, like it seemed like there was like a rogue Burger King where they like lost funding, but they just like continued privately like operating or something. So like the king was missing and just said burger, but like the menu was, I guess, the same, and they're just like, I don't know, kind of continuing with what remaining disenfranchised franchise, or like, you know, scratched off serial numbers franchise or something. Yeah.
Well, what else would be there?
There must be a lot of those. Like there must be like so many little minor restaurant chains that like just exist in like, I don't know, 2 towns or something, and they're just like knockoff McDonald's or something. Remember there was a lot of those in the 90s? Like there's these like weird, well, the other thing is like steakhouses were big too. Like Sizzler and other derivatives which were like trying to be Sizzler, I guess.
Yeah, I like never went to steakhouses, so I just have no idea.
Well, I just mean driving by and like seeing them, or like.
What did we have? We had Montana's. Did you have Montana's?
I just can't.
I think it's actually part of a Canadian food group, so you probably didn't have it.
There wasn't.
Did you have Harvey's?
Sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, like, did you have Tim Hortons?
No, that's I didn't even hear about Tim Hortons until I think my ex-girlfriend went to Toronto for a year. Like for.
Oh, so you're just completely unaware of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
quite recently then.
Miyuki, who I think you met once maybe. But yeah, she told me about it, and I was like she was acting like it was this big thing, and I was like, what? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's huge in Canada, right? It's the Starbucks essentially, right?
But it was huge when you were a kid too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's just it must just be super Canadian then.
Yeah. I mean,
I definitely hadn't heard of it.
It's like in Buffalo as well, and like northern New York, it kind of spills over.
Okay.
And
it must be blown up more recent years then, because
somewhat
when I was a kid, it was just like Dunkin' and that was it. I mean,
we don't have Dunkin' in Canada. Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts.
The American fast food is remarkable though. That's it's wild to, I guess when you live there you don't really, it's just food, right? But when you zoom out and look at it, it's doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Dunkin' has like huge coffee cups, right? Is that part of it?
Yeah, they always sort of did. I mean, it was more like
but maybe that's just American sizing as a whole.
Yeah, it was. People definitely went there more almost for the coffee than for the donuts, though. It was definitely, that was sort of the reputation I had, was just like a coffee place. I guess almost sort of before Starbucks like really took off, which was more of like a West Coast thing because it's from Seattle. So
one of these Canadian scandals, I guess you could say, like Tim Hortons was always this sort of I don't know, like poster child for Canadian entrepreneurship, because basically he was like, I guess it was in the 60s, he was a hockey player, Tim Horton.
Okay.
And he like started this, single donut shop that like grew and expanded and, turned out into this Canadian entrepreneurial success story. And I guess it was probably like mid-noughts. I think Wendy's bought it at some point. Like it got sold to
really?
an American conglomerate,
yeah.
and that
Sold
was a big
out.
deal.
Sold out.
Yeah,
sold out.
Sold to the enemy.
Sold out to Dave Thomas and Wendy.
I assume those
Dave
are the
Thomas.
people running Wendy's.
Oh man, it must have been.
I know Wendy.
The creator Dave Thomas used to do like his own commercials, where he would just like show
just
up,
trying to be the Steve Jobs of burgers.
Because he was. I mean, he himself was considered like a entrepreneurial, kind of mom and pop creator. So there's this whole like mythology of Dave Thomas, and I don't know if it was his daughter Wendy.
He's trying to be like a cult leader or something. Yeah. Some corporate.
There's this amazing book from like, I want to say 20 years ago called Letters to Wendy's, where it's just like this, I don't know, it's maybe like 100 or 150 pages of this I think he was actually a poet. I can't remember his name. Joe something Roth or something. But so there used to be those like customer feedback forms in Wendy's where it's just like some little card where it's like, how was your experience?
Yeah, how'd we do? Let us know.
Yeah, it was something like that. And so he just turned it into this like emo confessional where he was just like, he's like, dear Wendy's, my life is a goddamn mess. And he's just writing these like really.
So it's a collection of his own.
Yeah.
So he was just him. Okay.
So he would just go in, just one guy, and he would just go in there and, I don't know, have like a Frosty and write this like, suicide note every time. And then he just like collected all of them.
Did he get a response?
Well, he published the book, and I guess it did pretty well. It's very surreal. I mean, a lot of it's almost like poetry, and there's like these like weird philosophical tangents.
It's an interesting medium.
Yeah.
To compress.
Yeah. Some of it's just like silly. Like he's just like, I want to yank Wendy's pigtails and fuck her in the ass. And so, like sometimes he just throws in ridiculous stuff, but a lot of it is these like weird quasi poems where he's just having a Frosty and thinking about eternity or something. Yeah.
Well, what better way to contemplate eternity than with icy deliciousness
and Frosty? Yeah. So there was this like Dave Thomas mythology, I guess, of this like burger Steve Jobs or whatever you would call him. Well, because McDonald's didn't really have that.
Well, Ronald McDonald
was a clown, but I think it was like if I remember right, it was actually a pretty weird situation where it was like there were the actual creators were like the McDonald brothers or something. And then the guy that like actually turned it into like McDonald's was Ray Kroc or
that's the name that I kind of
so he's like the actual, like he was the one that came up with like the whole franchise model and like standardized like
like fast food as a whole.
Sorta. I mean, like he like if it hadn't been for this, if you removed Ray Kroc, then like okay, the McDonald brothers have a little restaurant, and it probably would
came in as like an investor to expand it or something.
Then I think he like bought it from. I think he eventually bought them out and then just like booted them out basically. So he, like, but restaurant is still called McDonald's. I mean, it's not called Kroc Burger or whatever. It's still
Kroc Burger.
Still called McDonald's, but so I think there was like some resentment because they're like, we're just trying to have like a. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what the actual story was, but it like the guy that made it what it is now definitely wasn't the guy that actually came up with it, which is kind of interesting because other things it's usually sort of the founder that like Wendy's or Tim Hortons, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. The other scandal, I think it's like Wendy's bought them out and then they stopped cooking the donuts in shop and like started shipping them in frozen or something.
Frozen donuts? Yeah. Oh, like frozen dough or?
Well, like I guess made in the factory and frozen and then defrosted at the store. That was the other.
Okay, yeah.
That was the next
that does sound
step.
a bit weird.
Yeah, well, I mean,
but is that
America.
standard, or is like, I guess Dunkin' does that too? Or?
Yeah, probably pretty standard with everything.
What about Krispy Kreme? Like, aren't they? I thought they were like hot.
That's a good question.
Wasn't that their selling point originally? Was there like
originally all of them, right?
Hot, fresh donuts or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, same thing with like Subway or something, right? Like, a sandwich is such a pure, beautiful thing. Like bread, vegetables, meat, cheese, right? Like, how do you turn it into this monstrosity known as a foot long?
Just like mutate it into these like weird,
to the point where everything tastes the same. It doesn't matter what you buy.
I really wanted to like Subway. Like, I think a lot of people really wanted to like Subway, and
it's like, oh, it's healthy, like ignore
Jared
boy diddling accusations, but
ignore Jared. That's wild. Yeah, that's such a wild story where I don't know if we even want to get into Jared, but I think like everyone wanted to like Subway in the sense of like couldn't it just actually just be like, yes, fresh sandwiches or something?
It's not hard.
Instead of these like mutant quasi bread and like quasi vegetables, and
it's the common element with all these fast food brands is somehow they've managed to make food not food, right?
Food.
Like it looks like bread, but it's not bread, or
it feels like that was a general trend from like, I don't know, 1950, where, well, because there's a space age, right? So of course you're gonna like have space food, which was literally, vacuum frozen, dehydrated, fucking, I don't know, like I think that's what they're going for, and like that's what they thought was gonna be like the future. Well, like TV dinners, right? TV dinners, McDonald's, space food, and you just like, they probably thought we would actually just be like eating pills by now and getting like full nutrition just from like a handful of like food pills or something. It's another one of these like canceled futures, or like retro I don't know what you like. We were talking about this in one of the other ones where, like the world state and everything. Like they thought that was they definitely, people.
Well, yeah, I guess just the idea that you could somehow engineer food to be better or something.
That's like to be better than food than itself, I guess. Like food better than food.
Yeah, I mean, going back to like the first tantalizing bite of a, Big Mac or whatever, McDonald's burger. The category of experience, what is it? Hyper reality, hyper stimulus,
hyper stimulus, or
I think so.
Hyperstition, that's another word.
Hyperstition, but just the idea of like creating an experience that is more tantalizing than the like actual experience it's supposed to be, or something. Like, I mean, pornography is another example, right? Like studio produced pornography, where it's just the like distillation of like sex, essentially, right? Cranked up to 11, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're a kid, I feel like those two experiences probably like are a lot of fun for like teenagers, like both fast food and pornography. But I think if you're like still into them when you're like 50, like there's probably something kind of wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're like still,
it has a short shelf life.
If you're still excited about fast food and pornography, well, that's like the Partridge Family temple is sort of. They're very into McDonald's too.
Partridge
and the
pear tree.
Yeah, well, that's what they think God is, like, because there's this 1970s TV show called The Partridge Family.
No, never heard of it.
Well, it's like the Brady Bunch, like.
Okay, so Full House, MASH era or something. I don't know.
So this guy, Sean Partridge, like in the 90s, I think he was like watching the Partridge Family, and he was like, "This is actually a revelation from God." And this
1970s.
Well, he like I think this happened in the early '90s.
Okay, early 90s. Okay,
so I think he was probably doing a fair amount of like
it sounds like
psychedelics or something, and he was watching these like Partridge Family, Brady Bunch kind of shows, and he was like this singing family of very photogenic 1970s actors is like actually a revelation of ultimate reality. So he created this thing called the Partridge Family Temple to kind of like spread this message, and they got very into McDonald's too. Like he was declaring that Big Macs were like a sacrament or like a holy meal or something.
This is just like corporate America. What's the snake eating its own tail? I don't know.
Ouroboros.
Yeah, but it's like that for corporate America or something.
Yeah.
Like it just like
I think it started just as like a parody religion, but I think like halfway through he became kind of sincere.
Like, hold on, I can make some cash off this or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much. I mean, they're still around. Like I don't know how much. They're friends with me on social media and everything. I don't know how much money any of them ever made from it, but I mean, they were appearing on like Jerry Springer and some of these talk shows in the '90s and stuff, and I guess they did have, I don't know, like 30, 40 members or something, and they're just trying to do the whole cult thing where they all live together,
spread the good word.
Yeah,
like the Partridge Family.
Yeah, so they were all in this. I think they're all in this one town, and they would all like go to McDonald's together and listen to Partridge Family music in public together and try to convert people or like do this kind of stuff.
Just ridiculous.
Well, it's like that town it's like the town in Mexico where they have more access to Coca-Cola than they do to water.
So, and they like worship it as a sacrament or something. Yeah, so they prescribe it.
Yeah, so they're like integrating it into like magic, like folk magic is like based on Coca-Cola.
The thing I heard growing up was in, I don't know, Africa or something, like you don't know that like there's no clean water.
Well, yeah, that's what it. I mean, I think this
is the same thing in Mexico.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's Mexico or Central America somewhere, but yeah, it was like the local water supply was like pretty contaminated. So drinking the Coca-Cola was apparently safer than, in the short term, is safer than drinking the water. Long term is probably gonna.
Wouldn't it be ironic if the like water contamination was like from the Coca-Cola plant or something?
I think it
actually was. They just captured the market.
Well, I think they like the local source of clean water. They just like monopolize or something. So
it's like so it's kind of in that whole Nestle thing where they're like buying up public aquifers and privatizing them. But
or like the Disneyland apartments or whatever. Was that development they're trying to do?
Well, yeah, they're like trying to build like a Disney village or something. Disney.
There would be like apartments.
Yeah, like just like adults living in a town, but it's magically
magic apartment.
Yeah. Keeps you suspended in that state of permanent mental childhood, I suppose. But
there's a Grant Morrison. I mean, just as an aside here, there's a good Grant Morrison comic about that called Sea Guy. It's very strange. It's one of his like lesser known works, and he only completed like the first two parts because I think the artist got like canceled or something. But yeah, it's one of these like futures where like there's this war between good and evil, and evil wins, right? So they're like, all right, well, now that we've won, like, what are we gonna do with the world? Because it's a lot of people, right? So they're like, well, what if we just turn it into Disneyland, basically? So they do. So they just turn, like, every city becomes just like a forced, like a concentration theme park or something, right? So you can't really like go anywhere. And like you're not really doing anything. You're just like milling around, going on rides, and shaking hands with Mickey, who's like the leader or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like no one is like doing anything. They're just like in this world Disney like continuous environment where like you just go on rides endlessly and wander around and sing songs and like pose no threat to
I guess
power,
this
basically.
is what this is what society is, I guess.
Yeah,
is the commentary.
That's sort of the implication.
Yeah.
And you know, like the being Grant Morrison, you know, the main character is like trying to be like a rebel and figure out how to break out of it and kind of comically failing. Well, because he's grown up in it. So like, you know, actual like violent revolution is a little bit beyond him. But in his mind, he's trying to like fight the system and kind of be this, you know, rebel or whatever.
Is he like mooning Mickey Mouse or?
Well, he's trying to. It starts out where he like wants to go on an adventure because he's like everyone's like, well, you know, there's no need for that. You know, you don't have to like
why do anything?
Well, yeah, because
why strive
when the evil guys won, the way they spun it was like we were actually the good guys and now we've won. So, you know, evil has been defeated forever. So there's nothing to worry about ever again. Right. And
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah. They're like, you'd better not worry about, you know, anything ever again or, you know, you'll get like mind wiped or whatever. So, which is what they do. So the main character keeps getting to the point where he like actually sees something he shouldn't. And then they mind wipe him again. They put him back and then he starts getting curious again. They have to mind wipe him again. And eventually he manages to sort of get out of it, but before long. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wish I could be a person who could enjoy McDonald's or something.
Or Disney.
Yeah. Or Disney.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be so satisfying to just plug yourself into the matrix and be like, this is,
well, they're just
everything's great right now.
They're just religious
Coca-Cola
impulses.
tastes good.
Yeah. I mean, like, sort of like in the same way, if you like can't, I don't know, like start a family or something, you might just end up looking at porn. Like in the same way that if you're like not really manifesting a religious practice, like you might just get sucked into like Disney or something, or
keeping up with the Kardashians,
or something, or like I don't know, collecting McDonald's Happy Meals or something. You know, there's like people that collect all that,
like all the memorabilia.
Well, yeah, just like the Happy Meal toys or whatever, like all this like random garbage that they would like give away in like I don't know 1995 or something, and someone's like, you know, curating it and collecting it. And
I don't know if you saw, I shared it on my Instagram, but I think I've previously, we've both have some critical views on collection of like gacha
collecting
stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like gachapon.
Like the pops and everything, Funko Pops,
But so Kawasaki collaborated with Family Mart to release a few like Kawasaki motorcycle keychains and stickers and whatnot.
Okay.
And I got that email and, you know, finished up work and put on my pants and walked over to the nearest Family Mart and purchased one of those keychains for myself. And it felt great, man.
It felt great, really? Were you getting a rush from a keychain? Yeah.
It was an honest enjoyment of consumerism.
You're getting a rush from a keychain. I feel like and
it cost me $15.
Cost you $15 for a keychain.
It's got a motorcycle and a little ninja on it.
It's got a little character. Yeah. I feel like my ability to like collect things is so atrophied. When I was a little kid, I think like little kids are naturally collectors, or they're like very more excited about objects, I guess. But like,
I guess, yeah. For me, it was Pokemon mostly.
Yeah,
like
Pokemon cards or something. I mean, I was collecting like
I guess baseball cards or whatever. Like that whole thing is kind of the same thing.
I mean, yeah. So I think little kids are natural collectors, but I don't know if everyone remains a collector. I mean, I feel like I definitely didn't remain a collector, but some people obsessively do, right? So Well, I mean, in the same way that like some people, like little kids are like naturally artists, but fast forward 30 years and like how many people are like still drawing pictures every day? Like very few. Right?
Yeah. You get it beaten out of you, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But that's a bit different than maybe the collecting.
Well, I just mean in the sense that like little kids all seem to have that, but then
just collecting stuff in general.
But I don't think all adults are collectors. Some are. Some very much are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't feel that I am. Like I literally don't even have.
But I mean, like I don't know, you like screenshot articles you see or something, or like random bits of internet stuff that like.
But I'm not like if they were all deleted tomorrow, like I probably wouldn't be like, oh, I lost my photo of some meme from like 2017. Like I wouldn't like feel like I lost anything, and I certainly wouldn't try to like obsessively like I don't get them back or something. Like there's nothing I would really. I don't even have a bookshelf really. I mean, I don't think there's any like objects that I would really.
Yeah, I mean, having physical objects while living in Tokyo poses a unique confrontation with the limits of physical space.
It does, but I think even if I had an enormous mansion, like I wouldn't.
Probably have a lot of books, man. You could have a library.
You could, but
yeah. I could totally see you doing that.
I could, but I don't know if I actually would, because
you don't want to have like a nice like mahogany. I think that's how you pronounce
mahogany,
it.
Yeah, not really.
Like 3-story shelves, and you can have that like the ladder on the wheels. Maybe even hire a librarian to manage it all for you.
Maybe if there's someone literally working there to tend it or something, but much less like buy like toys or something.
I'd just go full Jay Leno. I'd start collecting like cars and motorcycles.
Oh, Jay Leno was collecting cars?
Yeah, really? He's a huge car collector.
He's a car collector.
Yeah.
It seems I'm just like how much would you actually enjoy those cars, I guess? Like would you actually be driving them, or would you just
don't have to, right? They can just have them there. Yeah. Like you get really into like all the like stats about it and like how it was built, and like a lot of the stuff that's being collected, it's like the model, there's maybe like 200 units manufactured worldwide, and they're pre-sold years in advance to like people who really want this stuff. Basically, it's like not even, you can't even like walk into a store and buy it, right? Like, or
it needs to be on some list or something.
Yeah. Gets into this whole like, go ahead.
Still, I was just gonna say, I mean, it still sounds kind of like a weird nightmare to me or something. I mean, just having like some random garage that you've like stocked some random cars in or something. It seems like a weird trap or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, gotta figure out how to fill the void one way or another, right? Yeah.
I just feel like, I mean, I can understand it, because as I said, like I was very much like that when I was a little kid. Like I wanted to collect everything. I was like, I want cards, I want toys, I want anything that I could get my hands on, basically. But I definitely feel like I burned out to the point where I was like, like this is just worthless stuff that I'm mostly not even using. So what's
you get to a point like, and you're just like, I value the space more than the object.
Value space, or just other things, like creating things or enjoying things in a way that you maybe don't have to like fixate on like having or acquiring something,
or maintaining condition
something,
or something.
Condition. Well, I mean, we did talk a little bit about in that first podcast, we were talking about the comics and stuff, which has to be one of the classic sort of I want to say not really perversions, but just sort of diversions into this is like supposed to be throwaway entertainment that is just like consumed and then forgotten. And there's people like obsessively, like laminating it and keeping it in a,
handling it with gloves.
Handling it with
UV
gloves,
cases,
using UV cases,
dehumidifiers.
So it just seems like a very strange inversion of like the original impulse or I don't know, conditions or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like, would you ever like go back and try to like collect toys from your childhood or something? Because I mean, presumably you could. Like, you could probably find them on eBay or some other. Yeah.
Could go back and fulfill all your kind of childhood impulses. I guess, right? Yeah, I don't know. It kind of evolves, I guess. I know I can definitely see. I can see the progression or connection between my childhood toys and my current motorcycle. Like it is kind of a similar,
the same impulse.
A bit. I mean, especially with like installing parts and stuff on the motorcycle, it's like scratching a similar itch to like Lego or something. So yeah, but to like go back and be like, oh, I'm gonna buy all the Pokemon cards or all the GameCube games or whatever. Like, no, it can't really. Doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. Can't even. I mean, the stuff you want to enjoy changes, I guess. Like, it'd be weird to want to enjoy the same thing that you wanted to enjoy as a kid, I guess, right?
Yeah, but people do. I mean, I think the economy would be very different if people didn't want to do that, but they do. Often, usually too much, actually. I mean, I would say certainly I don't know if it's the McDonald's phenomenon of culture or something.
Disney is the more prominent example.
Yeah,
maybe,
Disney,
right?
Yeah. But everything kind of followed that model. I mean, I would say like from the, Disney Star Wars kind of take on things where it's like, how can we turn something which maybe once had some artistic merit into, like boil it down to a Disney film or a, Star Wars film or something.
Endlessly renewing franchise or something. Yeah.
Seems very like Star Wars, especially, which again was never something I was interested in because I was just born like in the non-habitable zone or something. Like I was born after the originals had come out, and then by the time the like prequels were those ones in the.
I have no idea. I don't.
You haven't seen it either? Or?
No, I'm completely out of it as well. I mean, I've
like the ones that were like the prequel ones where it's like Darth Vader is a little kid and like.
I believe you. I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, I have no idea.
I can't remember. I like people are probably not going to believe me, but at the moment I literally cannot even recall what they were called. But
yeah, I had a childhood friend who was like way into it. Like it was like all he could talk about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just never.
Yeah. So my Australian cousin, like like his age range was like the target zone.
He was like a few years older than you or
like
something?
10 years older or something. So he was like, he saw it in the theater, right? Like he saw the original Star Wars when it came out. And yeah, I mean, he was like obsessed with it because, it kind of did crash culture, right? But by the time those like ones at the end of the 90s came out, I was just like, yeah, I mean, like I've seen these movies, but I never got like into them, I guess. And
I haven't seen any of them.
Any Star Wars ones?
0. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean,
I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Not really, man. I mean, I'm sure this would probably get haters endlessly if people get this deep into the podcast. But Star Wars sucks. No, fuck Star Wars. Can we? Is this gonna like blow us up? Or I feel like this is the one.
I think this is the path to greatness in podcasts.
Greatness.
I think you just say inflammatory stuff into a microphone.
fuck George Lucas. Fuck Star Wars. No, really, no. It's not that. It's not that bad. I mean, they're fine. I mean, they're fun, but it's. I think from what I can see of like the newer ones and the TV shows, which again I also haven't watched, but it literally just seems like AI content. You know, like just like the Chat GPT that you use is like churning out these very, you know, creamy sentences that aren't wrong, but you know, seem kind of, you know, I don't know, mashed or something. So it just seems like the film, like the video film version of that, where it's like, you know, there's characters that look like other characters, like just it just seems like, you know, video mash or something, or content that doesn't. I don't know. I mean, it seems like it could easily be.
Like I get the whole trope of some cosmic battle of good and evil, and for me that sort of content or creation would have been Harry Potter, the Harry Potter franchise. Like I was in the strike zone.
You're in the strike zone for that. Yeah. I wasn't. I was out of the. I feel like I'm in this weird micro generation, which actually has a name, is Xennials, where it's like or Zennials or whatever, where it's like people from, I want to say like 1982 to like 1990 or so. It's like a slice of millennials, but it.
Well, I'm like that as well. I'm like, if you look at the age range for millennial Zoomer, I'm like right on the edge of both, basically, and I see both. Yeah.
So I definitely wasn't in the Harry Potter strike zone, which is another seems very weird to me. And I think I've maybe seen one of them, but completely like out of order. Like it was like episode, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something. I had no idea what was happening. It was, you know, actors and I don't know, but
culturally, I guess, I'm sure you didn't watch it all, but I was also in the strike zone for Game of Thrones, at least the TV series.
Yeah, no, I watched that. I mean, that was...
You watched the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, but that's pretty recent. I mean, it's like...
But same thing, right? I mean, like targeting kind of essentially early adults, I suppose,
guess,
right?
Yeah. I mean, that still seems like basically
like pornographic fantasy, basically.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it didn't seem too terribly different from Lord of the Rings. I mean, you know, there's more violence and stuff, but like when those movies came out, I mean, is it Lord of the Rings? Is it a kids movie? I mean, sorta, but you know, people I guess took it pretty seriously, even though those are technically children's books. Lord of the Rings are children's books. No, trying to stir up controversy here.
We'll need to clip it up and shitting
on popular culture, which I don't know. I mean, like shitting on popular culture is fun. I mean, I don't think we need to be too like hard.
Friendly. Too hard either way.
I want to say like too hard banning it. I mean, like if someone was like, you know, obsessed with Star Wars, like I wouldn't necessarily assume they were like a moron, but you know, because like who knows, right? I mean, you know, they might.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wish I could enjoy these things, and I wish I could find community in fandom or something.
Yeah,
but, like, I mean, Harry Potter, I read all the books 7 times. Like, I watched, as, you know, in late elementary school, I was, like, obsessed. Well,
I think Brandon did, too.
It's a cool story.
It might have been... I want to say that's how he actually connected with his wife or something. I
Harry
think
Potter.
Something like that. I remember he said something like he was obsessed with it when he was like a teenager or something.
Yeah, I mean it's all it's like a coming of age story in a like magical world, right? I mean,
children.
I guess they all are fundamentally, right?
Yeah, like when I was that age, I was like really trying to be cool. So I was like reading all these, like alternative comics and like kind of trying to think what even, like Clive Barker kind of horror stuff and kind of like weird stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think these things are all fine. I think people that use Star Wars or anything as like a substitute for like religion or something are pretty kind of, not, I want to say barking up the wrong tree, or
they should just join the real religion instead. Just go full Catholicism.
Do something. Well, no, don't join.
No,
don't join Catholicism. No, we'll do. I don't know if you really do something. I mean, at least just at least recognize it.
just stare into the void.
Stare into the void,
and see what comes up.
Raw dog the void. What's that like thing where you're just raw dogging flights or something?
I don't really like this trend, to be honest.
Of raw dogging things.
Yeah, no,
I'm down to raw dog some. No, sorry. What were we? Of staring at the flight monitor or whatever.
Well, so the thing I do is, I'm not some simpleton who just let me check out the latest movie releases and just conk out and stare at the screen for 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever. Yeah. So here's what I do: I turn off my screen and I look at my neighbor's screen.
Yeah,
and I watch 2 movies at the same time.
I think that's what probably a good 60% of us do.
Really, just watch other people's.
So,
really?
Out of the corner of your eye.
I'm somewhat relieved to learn.
I think I certainly do that. Well, because like, who can like? Most of the time I can't be fucked to like actually choose a recent-ish movie that I'm like probably not terribly interested in. I mean, most of the time I'd probably just be reading a book or something. But if I'm just too tired, or if I'm just drunk or something, because I usually do drink a lot on planes, just because it's free. Well, if we count free as the price of a plane ticket, but they are like, unless you're like causing a scene, they kind of will just keep bringing you alcohol if you keep requesting it. So I usually try to just see if I can get to like 10 Bloody Marys or something, or and just to feel like I get my value's worth, because like the actual international transit doesn't feel like getting your values. But if some server has to make me 10 Bloody Marys, even if it's just like pouring it out,
then your existence is justified.
My existence is validated.
Yeah.
That's like getting for me, that's like the keychain feeling.
Okay.
Of
10 Bloody Marys.
Yeah. Of like a stewardess having to like keep coming back and keep providing me with.
Do you examine the menu each time again and then just order the same thing?
I do. Yeah. I'm like, just the same. But so most of the time I'm just drunk, and like if I'm not down to read a book because they turn out the lights or something, then I'm just like, I'll watch, I don't know, half of Batman and half of some Chinese, drama or something, whatever is playing, right? Yeah.
Well, I was on the Turkish Airlines flight recently, and 2 things. One, they have like their movies are edited like at the beginning of the movie. There's
for content reasons.
There's this has been edited to like.
So there's no like kissing or something. Or
I have no idea. I don't actually know what they cut out, but I assume it's either gore or sex or
characters
something.
Urinating on the Quran or something. Or,
as is commonplace nowadays. But which brings us to point number 2 is. You have the like music section, you have the movie section. There's also a Discover Islam section.
Oh, is there?
And
on
there's
Turkish
like
Airlines.
there that you can read the Quran. Like they have a ebook on there, and then they have the um episodes about it where they like discuss it and introduce it and stuff.
But they just have like a text of it, like a PDF or something.
Like a PDF of it or something. Yeah.
That's wild. Like,
oh, they also have games. So I was playing like pool, right?
Yeah.
And you can like invite other people in the plane to play with you.
Oh, can you?
Yeah. And so there's like a
that's
list.
pretty revolutionary.
It is.
I don't think anything's ever crossed over to other seats before.
But so it's like I was playing like pool, right? It's the classic like top down, like pick your angle, pick your power. I was trying to like invite people, right? But no one wanted to play with me.
Yeah. But do you have to like specifically go into that little menu to like see
I think
that,
they get like a notification or something. But yeah, there's like a kind of start a lobby and like the players show up as their like seat numbers. And so there's someone like down the aisle from me because I guess it's like other people. You need to be like in the game app to like show up there. But like I'm like inviting them. Like I'm kind of looking down and just come on, bro. Like I'm right here.
That could get dangerous. Like I can imagine that like starting fights if like people are, being cheap or something, or like
cheating at airplane pool
or something. Yeah, that's wild. What's the Israeli airline? What's it called?
I have no idea.
Haaretz or something. I'm trying to remember. I'm just trying to imagine it like having Judaic content like in the menu or something. I just feel like they wouldn't like do that.
Yeah, right? I mean, I guess it's the classic thing where like the Jewish religion doesn't really proselytize or however you say that word.
Proselytize. Yeah. It'd be just funny if they had like the Talmud was just like in the menu or something. Just like random Hebrew commentaries from like 1,000 years ago or something. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess why not?
Yeah.
If you can have the Bible, if you can have the Quran, but I guess the Bible isn't there either, right?
The Bible. I could see there being like some Christian airline or something. That seems like something that would actually exist. Like in, I don't know. I could see some like random entrepreneur just like creating that or something.
Hey, it's a market. It's a niche.
Christ Airways or something.
Christ Airways.
Christ Airways.
I mean, yeah, if you can have like Christian rock,
Christian rap or Christian rock or Christian metal, Christian restaurants. Well, there's like Christian fast food. Like what's that?
Chick-fil-A.
Chicken fillet or whatever. Yeah.
It's funny. I think it's pronounced Chick-fil-A.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like it's spelt like Chick-fil-A or something, right?
Yeah.
But it's
that was never.
I'm sure some Americans are, if they're listening to this, they're enraged by our pronunciation of it. But hey, we're outside of that culture, so what do you want from us?
Fuck Star Wars. No. I think we should keep just beating on Star Wars too. No, yeah, I never like when I was growing up. That was never. I think it's like a Southern thing as well.
Yeah,
it's like I think it's from the South. So I never was never able to access specifically Christian chicken or whatever.
Is the chicken baptized?
Must be, yeah. I heard. I mean, when I
does it have like a confirmation? Does it get a Christian name?
They must put it through something, right? Yeah. I remember people saying it was like supposedly for fast food. It was supposedly quite good.
I've heard that as well. Yeah.
But then I guess they like once they.
But you're also saying fast food is good, which maybe is categorically false. Yeah. But
I mean, I'm sure if like I just had it here now, I would just be like, nah, this sucks. But if it, I guess just because there's a reputation or something. Or
yeah, I'd love to try.
It seems different somehow, but
love to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone watching this should like
ship us
chicken sandwiches. Christian chicken sandwiches.
Only the Christian kind, please.
Yeah, only the Christian kind. Not the kosher
or the agnostic.
The agnostic,
yeah,
or
God forbid.
The kosher kind or the halal chicken sandwiches or something. Surprised there's not more other religious themed fast food. There must be some things, like there must be Islamic and Judaic
shawarma, I'd know.
Yeah, but there's no like actual chains, I guess, is there?
It's a good question, actually.
Yeah. Why isn't there? Is that a marketing opportunity to create like an Islamic fast food? Well, I said this in I was talking about this with my Iranian Persian friend, and we're kind of comparing the we actually were comparing the fast food franchise impulse with the missionary impulse. So it's sort of it does seem like a similar.
Well, that's what the whole book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, is about, right?
Oh, is there a book about that?
Where basically just like country takeover via installation of McDonald's.
Okay,
which is essentially what was done to the Middle East.
Yeah. So, but do they explicitly compare it to like, you know, building a church or a mosque or something, or like?
I don't know how explicit it gets, but kind of same impulse.
Functionally, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you're reproducing a viral structure with associated behaviors. I mean, like to an alien, it'd probably just seem like the same thing. You know, you're building a cathedral or building a McDonald's. I mean, what's the difference? It's just like a.
In both places, you get served food.
You get served,
body of Christ or a Big Mac.
You get served something, right? And how are we doing for?
Yeah, we're there. We
arrived?
Made it. Yeah,
have we arrived at the?
How do we land the plane?
How do we land the plane?
How do we land Christian Airlines?
I think
Christ
How do we land
Christ Airways?
Christ Airways. Christ Airwaves. It sounds like it should be waves or something. Christ Waves. Christian Waves. I'm surprised that one of those, you know, Pat Robertson, like televangelist kind of types, hasn't tried to do this, like create his own Christian airline or something. Jesus Air. Christ Air. Yeah. I think we should the remaining 30 seconds should just be talking shit about Star Wars and
for the algorithm.
Everyone who watches Star Wars is a pedophile or something.
You heard it here first.
Everyone who knows who Luke Skywalker is a pedophile.
Aren't you including yourself in saying this?
Well,
how does that work?
I'm not sure.
You didn't build a safety hatch into this.
I've heard the name. I'm not sure I know who Luke Skywalker actually is. Yeah.
Apparently he has a father, and I don't want to know what his father did to him.
We should Star Wars, Lord of the Rings,
Disney, McDonald's. I don't know.
Christ Air.
No.
Christ sandwiches, Christ chicken fillets or fillets or whatever. Filet. Is that what it is supposed to be? Filet?
I think so.
But they just spell it
Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think, but I don't know why you'd spell it like that.
For some reason,
the whole thing never made sense to me.
For some reason, that spelling just never clicked in my mind either.
Yeah.
Although it seems stupidly obvious now, but yeah.
If it's one of those things that you only read and never
you never say it out loud
or never see the two together, like you could assume it's two separate things. But anyway, ship us chicken sandwiches.
Fuck Star Wars.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Peace.